the rising attractiveness of figures like Andrew Tate speaks to the danger of demoralizing young men. Because if you demoralize young men, you make, what would you say, charismatic bad men become much more attractive. Because they're the men who say, well, to hell with all of this idiot constraint and pathetic morality, I'm just going to go and do whatever the hell I want. This is a kind of a narcissistic route to self-aggrandizement and attainment, right? But if the alternative to that is to lay, half comatose in your basement, being depressed about the impending apocalypse, a little bit of attractive criminality beckons as quite the compelling alternative. And that can easily make itself manifest on the political front. If you raise a generation of demoralized men and then you wave a leader in front of them who says some forthright, self-aggrandizing, semi-criminal behavior would be in your best interest, the probability that they're going to find that attractive, that kind of, that's a good route to a kind of fascist populism, let's say. The probability that people are going to find that attractive is extremely high.
I would say to young men who are irritated at women is, if you're irritated at women, as a class of creature, there's something wrong with you, because they're right. You're wrong. They're right to not pick you. If they're not picking you, it's because they're right. I know that's a terrible thing to say, and I know perfectly well. It wasn't like I was particularly successful with girls when I was young. So I know what that rejection is like. I know what that fear is like. I don't know it as well as some men know it, because I wasn't rejected outright. Well, don't they find you attractive? Well, maybe you're not. Have you paid attention to how you dress? Do you have a plan? Are you as educated as you could be? Are you a liar? If you're rejected constantly and you're out there really trying, because that's another thing to ask yourself is, well, how many women have you actually asked out? And are you so sure that you're not picking women who will certainly reject you because you're trying to bat out of your league? Because you might be. So, and I'm speaking about this as a clinician too, because I had plenty of men in my practice who were, radically unsuccessful with women. I had one man in particular. He was so afraid of women, he couldn't use the phone. He was too afraid of everyone to use the phone. And he had been bullied like mad, and he had his problems. So I know what this is like. If you were better, you'd be more successful with women. So you have to have that in your mind. And you cannot be angry at women. It's stupid. Women, it's like women being angry at men. It's a sign of psychological trouble. That's why people like Andrew Tate are so popular. And I'm not saying that in an entirely dismissive manner, but there's a huge danger there. What do women look for? Depends on the wisdom of the woman, obviously. But, well, it does, because, narcissists can fool naive women. That's why narcissists propagate, by the way. And we know this because narcissistic psychopaths, young women are more likely to fall for narcissistic psychopaths. And the reason for that is they can't tell them from competent men. Because narcissistic psychopaths imitate competence. And that's their niche. And so they have a confidence that isn't justified by their ability. But the women check out the confidence as a marker of ability, and the falsely confident can fool them, especially if they're young and naive. So let's say you're not going to be a narcissistic psychopath, which is often what those manosphere dating sites teach you, is wear an expensive watch and peacock a bit. And to peacock is to wear some item of clothing that's, a little bit out of the ordinary, something a little bit more colorful than might be generally the case, so that you look like you're confident enough to pull that off with panache. But mostly it's just training in a kind of deceptive narcissism. Now, a wallflower guy might benefit from some training in narcissistic psychopathy, just to sort of balance him out a bit. So you can make some progress forward. That's why people like Andrew Tate are so popular. And I'm not saying that
in an entirely dismissive manner, but there's a huge danger there. But generally what women want is something like confident, productive generosity, fundamentally. And so, if that's allied with physical attractiveness and a sense of humor and, the sorts of features that a man would also look for in a woman, so much the better. You know how I know that? It's because women are female humans. And so if you were a woman, you'd be just like a woman. So, because that's what a woman is, right? So you can't blame women. It's like, clue in there, buddy. If all women don't like you, it's you. So you have to grow up. And so that's the thing, is don't be a fool. Turn yourself into someone who's worth being around, and then develop enough social skills so you advertise yourself genuinely. Because it's not also useful if you're a man to be competent, productive, and generous, and then so timid and socially unskilled that no one can tell.